Have you ever wondered what your hands, heart, and intuition might reveal about your life? Welcome to Live Soul Readings, Hands, Hearts, and Higher Guidance with Cynthia Clark and Megan Brown. Each week we explore meaningful themes, answer heartfelt questions, and offer live soul readings, intuitive messages, and higher guidance to bring greater clarity to your relationships, purpose, healing, and next steps. Want a chance to be featured live? Submit your hand photos and questions in advance. And join us every Saturday at 10 a.m. Arizona time. Because sometimes the guidance you've been seeking has been waiting for you all along.
Hello, spiritual friends, and welcome to today's show. I'm Cynthia Clark. I'm here with Megan Brown, and today we are going to be talking about the healer and how do we heal the healer. So Megan, actually, let's start out with you today. Yeah. So what do you think the biggest problems are with healers today? Like, what do you think are the biggest issues?
I think the biggest issues for healers, well, that's kind of multi-layered because we're sensitive and we have these, ways of trying to, help others and then struggling with should I do it this way? And, I've spoken to different people and it's about not wanting. There's so many things it's about, Cynthia, and I'm sorry to sound like I'm not even answering the question, but I'm thinking about it realistically and going, okay, well, a healer wants to be there for the person, and sometimes they overcompensate, to try and help the person get better. I think that bottom line is this: it comes down to the mindset, and to heal the healer. We, as the healers, have to heal our thoughts, and we have to heal ourselves with love. And it's so imperative to really shift the way in which we make decisions, in our lives, and how we show up for ourselves and then for others as well. Because by showing up for ourselves, this, it's like you're taking care of the sacred temple, and then you're able to exude that energy to help others with. That's what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah. I give this a lot of thought as well, because I think first of all, you're right. We need to heal the world right now with love, right? I mean, this is so important. Everybody should be focusing on this. And what we focus on expands. So if we're focusing on sickness, then we're going to get more sickness. If we're focusing on health and healing and love and wholeness, we're going to get more of that. And so I think that's the first problem that really is out there, is we're focusing on the wrong thing. And so especially when we get sick, right? We get sick, we're like ultra focused on that sickness, right? And which makes sense, because it's like, well, you want it to get better. But what if we focused every single day on just being healthy? Like, what would that look like, right?
Yeah.
What would healthy every day look like?
Yeah.
So,
I think in the healthy everyday, it's about showing up differently. This is what I've had to do, because my near-death experience, which is just a few days from being 19 years ago, I was in a different mindset then. I had been, I'll just say, I had been pummeled in life with karmic debt to the universe, as we all have. This is why we're all here on this planet. But
right, which we talked about last week, by the way, everybody. So if you want to know more about karma and karmic clearing, watch our live stream from last week.
Yes. But what I had to do was recognize that, and it took me years to figure this out after my near-death experience, but my thoughts, my fears, my my insecurities, my whatever my thought patterns were before my near-death experience, and the anger that I had because of things that had happened to me in my life, the traumas, the sadness, just everything built up in my body. So it's really important that I share this, because I'm telling you from firsthand experience, my body shut down. And I actually, getting the TTP-HUS, which is a blood disease, I fell in category number 4, which was phenomenon. They couldn't figure out how I got this. They tested me for everything else. And I now look back at this and I say, oh, I know how this came about. It was my thought patterns. It was the way I was not showing up for myself. In other words, loving myself as the individual that I am, because I lacked the understanding that I was already perfect. And how do you heal anything if you have this chaotic energy of some sort in your body that makes you self-doubt, or that makes you second guess, another's whatever, or you're seeking somebody else's approval? These were things that I have been through. And so now, because of my near-death experience, I remember laying in the hospital because I became paralyzed from it for a period of time, couldn't move, had to learn how to walk again, all of this stuff. And I remember one moment I was really upset that no one was by my bedside. Nobody in my family came. And I was by myself. And so I remember this moment where I actually said, Megan, do you want to live in the past, or do you want to live right now and heal right now? Because this is a stress-induced autoimmune. Do you want to heal right now? So I had to make a choice with my thoughts. And I made the choice to live for right now and the future, whatever the future held. So it was this boom, click, and the only way that I can heal anyone, help anyone heal, is to know that, oh yeah, I've already healed. I've healed all this. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. I totally relate to this. I didn't have it quite as extreme as you, but I did have a very challenging period in my life right after my divorce to my first husband of 19 years. And I ended up waking up with really severe vertigo. And I knew it was related to the divorce, right? Because emotionally, it's like, oh my God, my life is spinning out of control. I don't know what I'm going to do. I was vomiting. I mean, it was horrible. I literally had to carry around a little, vomit bag if I was going out in public, just in case I was going to vomit. Wow. It was awful. But I couldn't drive for several months. I couldn't do anything, but I knew. And so just like you had that moment of something is clicking. Yeah, I had the same thing. I knew exactly that this was temporary, and I had a choice to not stay in that place. It's okay, I know I'm going through a hard time right now, but I am choosing to do whatever it takes to heal. And I'm going to start right now. And the universe put me flat on my back, basically. It's you're going to be meditating, and that's exactly what you're going to do. And we're going to force you, because that's going to be the only thing that actually feels good to you.
And so it's the only way you'll listen.
Yeah, it's the only way we're going to get you to slow down and stop doing what you're doing. And you need to take this time, because, people go through major traumas. People go through, death in the family or a severe accident. I mean, there's so many things that can trip us up, and then we end up in this dark place, but we don't have to stay in the dark place. And that's really the bottom line. And yes, thoughts are important for sure. Also, feelings, go processing feelings, your actions versus your inactions. For me, I had to go into meditation. And it's also about responses, responding to the universe. So recognizing every day that, yeah, I'm still in this place. I still have this stupid vertigo. I still have this, mouse infested cabin I'm living in. I mean, it was like a bunch of stuff. But I knew it was temporary, and I kept focusing on, okay, how can I be whole, healthy, healed, happy, and what does that look like? So for you, Megan, being alone, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine like being on death's door and not even having anybody there. Like that must have been devastating.
It was. And it's interesting because that whole entire experience, it was like, okay, you do tarot. So the tower card, like
Yes.
everything crumbling. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything crumbled for me. Everything was crumbling. Literally from one day to the next, it was completely different. But being by myself, what's interesting is that I had there's a lot of philosophies that I've learned in this entire experience that we could go on for hours with this. But one of the things is that I learned that I can't have any expectations of people to show up any differently than they're capable of showing up as. And I think that's really important to keep in mind that and unfortunately, my first NDE when I was 9 years old, I was in a body cast because of it, from my chest down to my toes for 4 months. And I couldn't move and I couldn't, do these things. And I remember my mother leaving me to go to work, but we didn't have to pay rent or anything. It's a long story because I lived on a farm, it was family. But she would leave me with the rotary phone on my stomach and a bedpan underneath me. So it's like I was used to being left during these moments, but in kidney failure and going through all that, it was, as an adult, okay, I finally learned, Megan, you can't be angry at anybody. They're telling you what they're really capable of. And as I've gotten further away from it, because like I said, in a few days, it'll be 19 years, I've done a lot of healing around this. And, one of his big messages that I put in my first book was acceptance is synonymous with love. And he said, I want you to tell everyone acceptance is synonymous with love. And I said, okay. So in going through these struggles, that line alone has helped switch my perspective on how life happened to me. And instead of it happening to me, it was happening for me to reveal how and who people are and how they are able to be there for me or not, whatever that means. And then to not have any expectation of it being any differently, because that's where I needed. This is what my journey has provided me, and the healing that I have been able to acquire by understanding these things and not being resentful about it, not being angry, not even being sad. Now, getting through the sadness part took some time. And to get to this part where I am now, it's a process. It didn't just boom happen overnight because I spent time in heaven. No. Oh yeah, I met God, Jesus, blah, blah, blah. It didn't happen like that.
Right.
It's about taking accountability.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm talking about is accountability, because we all need to hold ourselves accountable of how we choose to show up every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ticket for the golden nirvana, whatever that may be for someone. Hold yourself accountable, make the shift,
Absolutely. So yeah, I agree with that completely, because we are so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. We are divine beings of light. We are sparks of God, right, within us. We are a soul, right? We have an infinite soul living in this body and in this lifetime. And we are here to learn lessons and grow and evolve, clear our karma, all the aspects of ascension that I talk about. And healing is part of that. So we can approach life in a victim mentality, right? Or we can approach it in an empowered way where we can recognize that we can be our best friends and we can actually co-create our universe. So, and this includes healing. Now, it's true that a lot of people who are in that dark space don't see the way out, right? They don't get it. And I think part of the problem is we've given away too much of our power to doctors and the medical industrial complex. And we think a little pill is going to solve our problems. And that is just, in my opinion, the worst thing that you can think, because you're immediately giving away all your power. And then you can blame your doctor, you can blame the pills, right? You're not taking any responsibility for your life. And you're not changing the underlying reason of why did you get sick in the first place, right? So, but as healers, people like us who are naturally in this field of wellness and personal growth, we go through some of these things, I feel, in order to help other people learn from what we experienced. And that's a beautiful thing, right? We don't live in a vacuum. We're not supposed to just do everything on our own. We can learn from each other. And Absolutely. So, that's one of the best things about, being able to heal the healer is, let's gather together as healers, recognizing all of these truths of the universe, and let's empower each other so that we can recognize, oh yeah, I am a divine being of light. I do have the power to heal. Wow, what does that look like? And that's really where the love energy that you and I talk about all the time is like, the love energy is going to elevate everything. So if you can get out of the feelings of guilt and shame and fear, especially fear, because fear is so common when you're sick, right? You're afraid you're never going to get better. But there's always a way through, no matter what, and that's really the bottom line, is that where you are right now, you do not have to stay there, right? And you can choose this moment right now to decide that you are going to change. And change is hard sometimes, right, Megan? It's hard.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? One of the things that I've been working on in my book that I'm working on is I talk about the change. And in order to change, you have to quit resisting. You just have to quit resisting what it is that you are supposed to step up as yourself, like hold yourself accountable. How did I participate in this, whatever the situation is? And then just acknowledge it, and then, okay, you've listened to it and now you can make a correction because now you're saying, I understand it. It's like forgiveness is also a part of this. And I believe that in order to really feel at peace, you have to just accept everything for what it is, and where you need to make shifts, make them. You have that power to do that and to declare how you want to live your life. And no matter what the circumstances are around anyone, we always have our thoughts. And that is the key, because if we can't think it, then we can't be it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
I probably went sideways there on you, Cynthia. And
No, you're fine. It's true. Yeah, but to, talking about thoughts, I do want to mention that a lot of our thoughts are not actually in our control, because we have our subconscious thoughts, which actually they run the show, right? So we really need to change thoughts at that subconscious level, especially around the deep core belief systems that we have around being healthy and sick. And there are ways to do that, of course, luckily, otherwise we'd really be in trouble. But one thing that I would recommend is looking at the thoughts as just something to observe, right? Put yourself outside of the thought. I like to think of them like clouds. So when I go into meditation, I actually, people, this is another thing people struggle with, is meditating. And it's like, oh, my brain is so busy and I can't shut it off. And what do I do? And I can't meditate. I get that all the time.
What do you tell?
Yeah, I tell them, well, you need to think of your thoughts like a cloud. Don't try to get rid of your thoughts. just let it go through like a cloud. And so you observe the thought, and then you go, that's interesting. And then you can either accept that thought or you can reject it, right? So let's say the thought is, I'm always going to be sick. Okay, that's obviously a terrible thought to have. But you can look at that thought and go, what if that's just a thought and it's not actually true? So start to question your thoughts and let them float by. Say, okay, that's interesting. Thanks for pointing that out. And then let it drift on by, and then see what comes in its place. So I think that's kind of a fun exercise. Another one that I like to do is I tell people, just record yourself for like 3 minutes and see and whatever's on your mind, I don't care what it is, record yourself for 3 minutes and see what comes out. So if it's around the topic of health and healing,
wow,
record that for 3 minutes, and then you're going to know exactly what those subconscious thoughts are actually saying.
That is fascinating. I've never heard that modality before, that technique. That's really cool. And because there's such a power in that, because when you listen to yourself again, you're like, whoa. And somehow it's like you can hear yourself differently, or that's what I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, the other way would be to write it down, because I love to do writing as well. But you could either record it into your voice recorder on your phone, or you could write it. Some people prefer to journal. So either way, it works.
It's interesting. You made me think of two things in what you were sharing. So I used to work in cartoons many years ago. And so the storyline, okay, you were talking about, right, like clouds, thoughts in the clouds. So when you do a cartoon, you have to do a storyboard. And then you have these sections, and they're the characters doing these things. And then the dialogue gets added. Okay. So it's like creating our own cartoon of ourselves is where I just went with you.
I love that.
Right? And then you can go, yeah, I'm going to take that scene out. That's just not going to happen, because I don't know. It seems very therapeutic. The other thing that I did is, and I've actually taught this, is to focus on when you have these thoughts, or no, getting back to your meditation, how to guide somebody in meditation. I can't keep my, mind thinking or not thinking of anything. Well, you're not supposed to. This is what I say. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to focus on one thing. What is the one thing that you're going to focus on? So what we do is we narrow it down. Now, I always start with the rose. I always start with the rose because it's the highest frequency of love. in a flower on earth, according to heaven and my near-death experience. So I give them a visual of how to work. Oh, see?
I'm like, let's see, how many roses do I actually have on my desk? I have a whole bouquet, and then I always have a blue rose.
You've got roses in your home. I noticed them, like one of them was on the palm last night. It was so cool.
I know, they're everywhere.
So visualize the rose. That's what I tell people. And then just walk yourself through paying attention to the intricacies of that rose and focusing in that regard. And I even suggest having background music of like Bach or Mozart just on low, because it helps. So your mind is like, if you just focus on the music even and keep your eyes closed, and then you see this road, but you can free yourself, is my point of sharing this with what you're talking about, of clearing the mind. You can free yourself of whatever the thought is by taking control of how you want to use your energy. So that's what you're saying. And this is what I do. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Again, we discount our abilities, right? We discount our abilities so much.
Yeah. And we're not taught the power that we are, because we're raised in, conditions or situations or whatever it is that have taught us to believe something other than who we really are. Mm-hmm. And we really are only love. That's all we are. It doesn't matter what title anybody has put on us. Okay. Bottom line is, okay, you can put whatever title you want on me, but I'm only love. I know this for fact. We are love's energy. That's it.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yes. So remember that, everyone. So yeah, I also wanted to just mention, from a hand perspective. Okay. So we talk about the healing stigmata, which is actually the mark of the healer. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with this marker, we have talent markers in the hands. And so this particular talent marker, when it shows up, it's going to be underneath your little finger. And sometimes it's a little bit skewed towards the ring finger. And it's going to be 4 vertical lines that are just underneath that finger. Okay, so that's the mark of what we call healing stigmata. But there is actually a marker that I haven't mentioned before that I would call the healer of healers. Okay, wow. So if you have a healer of healers marker, you are going to have the healing stigmata, which is the 4 vertical lines underneath your little finger. But instead of 4 lines, you're going to have 8 lines or more. Sometimes there could even be 10 lines there. But take a look at your own hands, and it could go on either hand, of course, because you have an active hand and a passive hand. If it's on your passive hand, it represents a potential. If it's on your active hand, it means it's ready to go right now. But if you are one of those rare people, and it's a pretty rare marker, but if you are a healer of healers, that means that part of why you are here on this planet is to actually go through whatever major healing you are doing for yourself, and then you're going to be elevating other people to a high level of wholeness. Okay, so yeah, it's a beautiful marker, by the way. When I see it, I always get really excited because it's rare. It's a rare marker.
Wow, that's so fascinating. So let me ask you this, Cynthia. Do the thoughts change the hand patternings?
Absolutely. I mean, the lines in the hands actually are the most changeable aspect of the hands.
Really?
Yeah. So you could have a healer of healers appear based upon your thoughts, based upon your decisions, based upon what you're doing in your life. You're exercising your free will. And if it turns into a path that you want, and you want to choose that, well, it could very well show up in your hands within a few months. So that's another reason why I love to look at things like that. But it might also be maybe you're choosing something else, right? And then maybe if you already have this marker, maybe it would fade out over time, right? Mm-hmm. So it can go both directions based upon what we're choosing. But to me, talent markers are a big deal because it's sort of like being drafted in the Army. It's like, okay, you've been drafted. You have this marker and it needs to be used. And if you don't use a talent marker on your active hand, like let's say it's active, there will be some kind of penalty in your life that will show up.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's why I take them so seriously. It's like, what are your talent markers? We need to make sure that you are utilizing them in some capacity, because the penalty will be a life dissatisfaction. You know, it will be some kind of frustration. It'll be an undercurrent of there's something missing in my life that I feel like I should be doing and I'm not doing it, you know, like that angst.
Okay. Yep.
There will be angst if you're not using those talent markers.
Wow.
So yeah, if you're a healer of healers, we should talk, because we need to figure out a way for you to use that gift so that you can avoid your penalties, right? Because ultimately people may think, well, I'm not a healer. You know, they might think that, like, I'm not a healer. Like, they discount everything, right? That's how most of us are. But the hands don't lie. The hands are going to show you exactly what is going on, and it's going to guide you into your most fulfilled life. And so when you embrace that, it's like, wow, maybe I'm more than I think I am, right? Because why else would the marking be there? And of course, for some people too, it's a fingerprint pattern, right? There is a healer life purpose. And of course, if that's the case, well, there's simply no getting around it. You're here for healing. You're here to help people heal. I mean, that's your purpose.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
And it's not a common purpose either. So, you know, and a lot of people who have that marker think, well, does that mean I have to be a doctor? Absolutely not. You can be a healer in construction, which, you know, some people think, how's that possible? But I mean, imagine building a beautiful building, and inside that building, the person is going to feel loved and safe and secure. I mean, it can apply to a lot of different things. So,
but I like that, because the carpenter, right, and the builder, they can actually pray into the home or send good intentions and help build that feeling. I never thought about it like that before. Huh.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where, you know, I feel like the soul and the free will and the personality all come together, and you can bring in this beautiful life, and it doesn't have to fit one mold, right? We're not a one size fits all kind of person, right? Everybody's different. Everybody has different backgrounds. You have different fingerprints. You have different talent markers. And the combination of all those things is what makes you, you. So getting to know you at a very deep level, I think, is one of the best things that you can do to actually be healthy and whole, right? Because you're acknowledging all of these facets of yourself. I like to think of it like a diamond. You know, you are a precious diamond, and you can bring in this beautiful facet, and only you can contribute in the way that you do. So do that, right? But I think a lot of people just either don't think about it, or they just don't know, right? They just don't know what they don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think for the most part, people don't know. And I will share something. When I was in during one of my out of body experiences, I was pulled back into heaven, and I'm sitting on a bench with Moses. And I grew up Catholic, so I'd heard of Moses. I'd heard about parting the Red Sea, but I didn't know if this was true. I didn't know. Okay. And I'm sitting with him, and we had this long conversation, which I was not allowed to remember the entire conversation. But at the very end, I looked at him and I said, Moses, may I ask you a question? And he said, yes. And I said, okay, now, I grew up Catholic. Now, I don't know anything about you. I kind of think the whole thing about the Red Sea is a fairy tale, like God and Jesus and everybody. I go, but I know, here I am in heaven and I've met all of you. Okay. But the Red Sea, I go, come on. Did you part the Red Sea? I'm kind of finding this one hard to believe. And he listens to me. And I said, did you really do it? And he said, yes. And I said, but wait a second, you were human. How did you do this as a human? And he said, Megan, the humanity that I lived in was part of the 100% living in the mindset of love. And he said, we knew we could do anything with love. We can change anything. And he said, you are part of the 1%. I said, it's that bad? And he said, yes. He said, because what people don't understand is that they have the power within them. So that's what you're talking about is, the power to change anything. And I got that little crash course from Moses in heaven. So I thought I'd share that.
Yeah, that's a great story. Mm-hmm. So we've got to build up that 99%. We've got to get back to that 100%. And really, that's how I view ascension, right? Yeah. The pathway of ascension is getting back into the higher states of love and bliss. And yeah, it's all about healing. It's all about releasing the fear, the doom, the gloom, and really recognizing our divine, authentic selves. I mean, that's what we're here for. So I also wanted just to mention, because I do like to use tools sometimes in my practices, and this is one that maybe you guys have not heard of, but Louise Hay talked about it, for a long time. She talked about how you can heal your life through understanding the undercurrent of why an illness is actually occurring. And there's a feeling, or there's a reason for it, right? So there's actually a reference book that I like to use. And it's Michael J. Lincoln. So I don't know if you've ever seen or heard of this book. It's called Messages from the Body.
No, but that's a fascinating title.
And look how huge it is. It's like a dictionary.
Wow.
Okay, so it says messages from the body, their psychological meaning. So when somebody comes to me with like a really interesting illness, I like to just look it up in this book and just see like what is the undercurrent behind it. And that's usually a good place to start. But it's really it has a lot of things in here. It's a very interesting book. So, yeah.
That's fascinating. It made me think of, I did a reading for this woman. She's Chinese, and she was telling me that this year that we're in has the kidney, our organ, the kidney involved in this year. I said, really? Okay, so I've had kidney failure. That's what caused my last NDE. And I thought, I read somewhere that the kidneys that's around, what is it, sadness?
Kidney is fear.
Is it fear? Okay. Well,
yeah.
That makes sense. So I was afraid, and to be myself because I had been so conditioned in certain ways. So that is what I believe brought on the kidney failure, because of all these things in my life. And it's interesting when she said this year, 2026, is kidneys. I said, oh my gosh, that explains so much of what's going on in the world right now. I mean, to some extent, not completely, but so I'm wondering, the reason I share this is because of the book that you just introduced, is that type of like correlation in that book?
Yeah, exactly. So every single illness has a correlation to some kind of emotional component.
Yes.
So if we looked up kidney failure, for example, you know, there would be oh, here we go, kidney problems. Do you know if it was the right kidney or the left kidney?
Oh, mine? It was
Yeah,
both. They
it
were
was both. Okay.
they
Okay, well let me just read to you from this book about kidney. It's funny, I opened right up to it, which is hilarious.
Wow.
The universe is like, yeah, read that. But it says kidney problems relate to, well, first of all, the physical thing is inability to cleanse the blood of waste products. Okay, so that's the physical component of kidney problems. And then it says negative thinking. This problem is designed to convey the message that they need to turn off their forever looking at what's wrong about things.
Wow.
And there has to be a willingness to repress, suppress, or refuse to express negative inner experiences and qualities. So it is a law of manifestation that if you wish to learn that which is within, make it manifest externally or overtly. And now that they have done that, they need to master their negativity as a major lesson in this life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That applies to me. And that moment that I shared in the hospital about saying, do you want to live in the past or do you want to be in the present? That is along those lines. But I didn't know any of what you just read.
Yeah.
I was an atheist while that was happening. So I had no idea, but that makes perfect sense. Holding on to the negative, holding on to, oh, poor me, holding on to victimhood, like you touched upon earlier. And really, that whole thing is like, I mean, I understand it now, is that you're doing that to yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's already done.
Mm-hmm.
And it has definitely shaped the way in which you learned to make decisions and choices. However, that can be shifted, but you have to decide. And so this is so huge, because that's a huge thing for me that I had to recognize. And, for our world, putting it back to the kidney representing the world right now in this year, that's huge, because everybody has to figure out, okay, do we still want to keep going into the history of all of this and this and this and all of these, components, right, that have made up this coagulation of, issues in our world? Or do we want to now establish this new way of thinking and being, So
exactly. Mm-hmm.
around, it would definitely be shifting the mind to think, love, hold yourself accountable. How are you speaking in the world? How are you speaking to others? Like, I was just challenged this week, as I've shared with you. The individual challenged me in such a way that I could have gotten upset, and I chose not to. Instead, I wished them love. I said, as I was out watering my garden, why did this individual do this? They didn't have to do that to themselves.
Exactly.
I understand that is doing to yourself. So I'm not going to hold the space. I mean, yeah, it's I'm dealing with stuff because of it, but I'm still not going to hold that energy with it. Like, okay, this is a heaven thing where we were to come together, and each one of us had the opportunity to choose differently on how to respond to one another, I guess, for a lack of a better word. So
exactly. Yeah. And responses. Yeah. This goes back to what I always talk about, in that you're only in charge of 4 things. Most people think of the thoughts, which is, a big one, but responses is the one that everybody forgets. Yeah. You're in charge of your responses. So yeah, when people get triggered, right, they react. Yes. And they just immediately go into, oh, I'm going to get even with this person. Oh, I hate them. They have this like really triggered energy. Mm-hmm. But if you take a breath, you pause, then you can respond in whatever way you choose, right? Yeah. So we have to learn to not react, right? Yeah. So it's all too easy to react, especially in today's world, right? We get upset about stuff. But if we can learn to respond and respond in a way that is more loving, now this isn't saying give away your boundaries or let people walk all over you. That's totally not what we're talking about.
No.
But responding in a way that is productive rather than not productive. Mm-hmm. So I love how I would never wish on anybody what you're going through this week, Megan. But I love how mature you are in your responses, because you are such an inspiration to people. And it's like, wow, it's beautiful to see, like, the compassion that you have that goes so beyond what most people would do. And that's that's your training. My gosh, you've been doing the work.
And thank you for that, because someday I can actually, because I really do feel like our pains and our struggles in life are our purpose to help others with. And so someday when I get this all resolved, I can take it to the next level of teaching on this, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on here. But first and foremost is, I know I'm accountable for how I'm going to respond. I don't want to react, because in reacting, you have no control over anything. And
exactly.
In responding, you're thinking and you're building, and then you get a better idea. So I'm building in this, and it's like, it didn't have to be this way. I don't know why, but okay, so maybe this is a past life thing, and here we are. Okay.
Yeah.
Heaven knows what the constructs are of the whole thing. So it's like, whatever is supposed to happen is supposed to happen in this. But I'm not going to show up, like you were talking about just a few moments ago, saying, we're not talking about allowing people to walk over you and step over boundaries. No. This is actually this is a perfect example of one of the things that I teach about love. So quickly, the L in love represents the light of who we are, our soul. The O represents organic, in that we're all organic to one another. And the V represents voice, and the E represents echo. So this is like my own crash course from heaven going, all right, Megan. So yeah, we're just going to watch you. Go ahead. How are you going to get your voice on this one?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you going to allow to echo from this within yourself? Because the echo starts at the moment of your thought's inception. So I literally have to stay, okay, all right, decompress. In the thoughts, like, what is this really about? Because I'm not going to let chaotic energy of the situation that would definitely be putting people in a chaotic mode, I'm not going to let that transpire here. And so I have to look at myself, hold myself accountable for what I can control. And what I can control is how I think about this. And in my thoughts, that's creating the voice inside my body, which is what got me into kidney failure to begin with, because I didn't know the power of our thoughts was so significant that it really changes the trajectory of how your body responds, getting back
absolutely.
to that you mentioned earlier. It absolutely does. Your body is boom. It is like, I'm right there with you. I'm your assistant. Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, whatever you believe to be true is true.
Oh, you think you're this. You think you're ugly. You think you're not worthy. These are things that I've been through. Oh, okay. We'll just jot that down for you. Oh, you're angry. You're still angry about that. Okay, we're writing that down. Truly.
Yeah, exactly.
Not about that. Oh, and then I call it the network. So our whole body, our light here, we are a network of energy. Mm-hmm. And so my network system said, I'm out. It blew. And
Yeah.
that's why I had kidney failure. So it's recognizing where the sources are and then getting to the point where I'm not going to use my voice in that way. I'm not going to allow my thoughts. I don't know what the whole circumstance is on their end. And that's true. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly we have a karmic thing going on.
So for anyone who is watching, by the way, Megan and I love to answer your questions live on the show.
Yeah.
And so there are ways for you to do that. So you can type into the chat and you can ask your question. Or if you want me to read your hands, I do need to get your hands in advance. And so there's a QR code right here on the screen. Just scan that QR code and you can find out how you can submit your hands. So these are the ways to get your own questions answered. Megan and I have over how many years experience? 30 some years.
Like 37, 38 years of experience between us.
Yeah, a long time. So if you're struggling, if you are a healer, if you're an empath, if you're just a spiritual seeker, whoever you are, Megan and I have loads of experience to assist you. And that is actually what what our main purpose is in this lifetime, is to help everybody with their ascension. So if you have a question, please type it in the chat or scan the QR code and you can be featured in a future episode. We meet every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Arizona time. And this is a great way for you to really dive into your own personal development. And it's an opportunity for you because, honestly, this is the first time we've come together like this and offered this to anybody. So, this is a great opportunity for you to get your questions answered. And then I also want to mention that Megan and I are doing a deeper dive insight. And let me pull up the QR code for this. So yeah, why don't you talk about it while I pull it up, Megan?
Well, I want to say first that it starts on June 12th, which happens to be the 19-year anniversary of my NDE. So it's very significant. And what Cynthia and I are doing is holding a space for just 10 people. And we are going to give guided messages through the hands and through my channeled information. And we're so excited to bring people together and also teach, okay, this is how you can do this or this. We're open for questions. We have it, we have it themed out in a sense. Would you agree?
Yeah, you're certainly welcome to ask anything you want. But what's cool about the inner circle, the higher guidance circle, is you're going to learn from all the other people who are there as well. Yes. And sometimes the message might not be directly guided to you, but you're still going to be like, oh, I needed to hear that. And that's where synchronicities come in too, right? It's like the people who need to be in the room are going to be in the room because heaven works that way and higher guidance works that way. So, yeah. That's what I love about this type of work. You just never know who you're going to meet, what's going to be said, but it's really designed to be a sacred space, safe. There's no judgment. Certainly, Megan and I have both been through a lot of stuff, right? We know the drill. Yeah. And we're here to help you. So, that's what it's all about. So you can scan the QR code that I just put up and you can join the higher guidance circle and you can be one of the 10 people to join us in this intimate gathering. And we would love to assist you. It is time, right? The bottom line is it's time for you to heal. It's time for you to get through whatever it is that you're feeling stuck in. And the fire horse is here. The fire horse is welcoming taking a risk, and it's like maximum yang energy. So it's really all about taking action. And now is the time to take action. This is not the time to sit on the sidelines. So if you've been struggling for a while, which I feel like a lot of people have been doing that, it's time to really get yourself out there and get the help that you need so that you can be in that highest timeline that's really meant for you.
I like that. And I also want to add to that, that sometimes when we're in the struggle, we don't know how to ask for help, and we don't know how to get out of the mindset. So I encourage anyone to just walk outside the front door, walk outside and change the energy that's hitting you, and just do something. And even just by showing up, even if it's on Saturday mornings with us, show up, just be open to listening and being available to hear what perhaps you weren't seeking, because like you said, the messages show up. I mean, I believe that messages show up in every moment,
They do. Yeah, they do. If we're paying attention.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. We will also be putting in the show notes. You can click on show note links. Next week, we are going to be reconvening again, looking at, I had it written down somewhere and I don't have it in front of me, but it'll be a soul related topic. So when I figure it out, I'll post it. But yeah, we do like to focus on slightly different topics each week, so that you can learn and grow with us. And it's all about let's ascend together. I mean, that's what we're here for. So we appreciate each and every one of you. We love you. We really value your uniqueness, and we want to see everybody in that highest timeline, like I said.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, scan that QR code, and we will see you hopefully next week. All right.